2025, and this is the meeting of the Audit and Finance Committee. First on the agenda, we have EFPR Group going to give a little presentation to us, I believe. They're just talking? Yeah, the presentation. Okay, thank you.
I went over them all, so I'm fine, thank you.
No questions for me.
Item 1.3, resolution to accept classroom audit. Yes, sir. Thank you. So we're going to have a discussion on item 1.3, the resolution to accept the classroom audit. You guys can take off. We are going to have a discussion on this. Yeah, I'd like a walkthrough, please.
Mr. Zimmerman or Mr. Gable, are you able to walk the committee through the first report, which is the extra classroom audit? May I have a motion to go into executive session, please?
So moved.
Can you guys hear us?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, let's hold off.
You're very quiet. Barely hear you. Matthew just sent me an email, said he'd like us to present that extra classroom report. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Please, can you walk the committee
Okay,
through?
are you ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay. Do you want to see the report on the screen, or do you want us to just go through?
Yeah, can you present it on the screen, sir?
I can't hear you guys.
Yes, please present the report.
Trying to present. I can't hear them, can you? Okay, I think hopefully you can do this. This is the extra classroom report. Like I said, we can't hear what you guys are saying, so can't even flip through the pages. I don't know what's going on. Did. Your screen. There. Hopefully you've seen that. Okay. So this is an extra classroom report. Make it smaller. So in the extra classroom report is on your cash basis, statement of cash receipts and cash disbursements for the extra classroom activity funds for the year ended June 30, 2020. We are issuing an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion on those extra classroom activity funds for the year ended June 30, 2024. We conducted our audit in accordance with the auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America. We're required to be independent and meet other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the relevant ethical requirements related to our audit, and we believe that we have obtained sufficient audit evidence appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinion. This is a standard paragraph in these. We just described that this is basis of accounting is not in accordance with GAAP. It is on a cash basis of accounting. It doesn't modify our opinion with respect to the matter. Management is responsible for the presentation of these financial statements and the cash basis of accounting described in note 1, and that it's an acceptable basis for the financial statements. I hear some talking. Is there questions? Oh, okay. So basically, here's some more information on our audit and that we performed. We have to exercise professional judgment, maintain skepticism throughout the audit. We have to identify and assess the risk of material misstatements. We have to obtain an understanding of the internal control. We have to evaluate the appropriateness of the county policies. And then we have to conclude whether that the extra classroom activity can be considered a going concern, meaning that it will last for more than a year from now. And that's basically our opinion. And I don't know if you wanted to cover any of the cash balances, but here are the various extra classroom activity funds and their activity, starting with the cash balances in the beginning of July of 2023, adding receipts and transfers and subtracting disbursements and other transfers to get cash balances at the end of June 2024. And just scroll through here, you can see the Newburgh Free Academy had $75,000 in remaining funds at the end of the year. The Heritage Middle School had $38,000 at the end of the year. The South Middle School had another $14,000. Grades K through 8 had $23,000. The elementary schools, grades K through 5 had $62,000 for a grand total of $213,751,000 cash at the end of June. Again, here's a little couple of footnotes. Basically, it's just the extra classroom activity funds of the Newburgh Enlarged School District, and at the basis of accounting is the cash basis of accounting, representing cash receipts and disbursements. And again, cash balances reflect only the cash received, dispersed, and transferred between funds. So it's not a complete set of financial statements in accordance with GAAP.
They're very straightforward. We certainly, if anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
I have no questions. Everything seemed pretty good.
I just want to confirm what you said, that this is for the community. This is a clean audit with no red flags, no malfeasance or anything like that.
Can you repeat that? We cannot hear you. Very muffled. I don't know if you're
For the community, can you reiterate that this is a clean audit with no red flags?
No, there were no red flags on the extra classroom activity fund. It was clean. It took a while for us to get the information from management with regards to the reconciliation of various accounts. But once we finally received everything, everything, tied out to our satisfaction. And again, had there been issues, we would have issued a management letter similar to what we had done on the overall district's financial statements. But again, once we got through everything, we gave everything a clean bill of health with regards to those extra classroom activity financial statements.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, let's move on to item 1.4, resolution to accept the single audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024.
Were there any other questions on those statements?
No, the committee wants to move on to the single audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 24. If you can walk them through the final report that you guys issued.
Where is the microphone that you guys are talking into? Because we cannot hear you. It's very muffled.
Can you please present the single audit fiscal year ending June 30th, 24 final report you submitted to committee? Can you walk them through that?
Sure, we can walk through the single audit report. Absolutely. You want to pull that one up?
Yep.
So we'll just put that on the screen like we had with the extra classroom activity fund. If you just give us a second here,
Thank you.
we'll walk through that. Well, again, this is the single audit report for the district for the year ended June 30th of 2024. There are two opinions within these financial statements, there is the first opinion, which is right here, and that is the opinion in accordance with what is called uniform guidance, the more common name being single audit. And again, what there is here is the way this single audit is performed, the federal government has set up very specific rules and regulations on how you do calculations. And so we certainly look at every dollar of federal expenditures that you had. There's a risk-based approach that the feds have set up for us to go through. And so this year, the program that we examined in detail was the Education Stabilization Fund. So as an example, that was over $23 million of expenditures. And so this first opinion is, again, internal control and compliance with regards to that major program. And again, there's two components of this. The compliance section, which is at the top of the second page there. And we're happy to report back that there were no compliant issues with regards to the Education Stabilization Fund and all the various attributes that we looked at. The next opinion, part of this opinion on page 3 has to do with internal controls. And we do make reference to the material weakness, which was identified as 2024-001. And for those of you that were at the audit committee meeting back in December, if you remember, we went through the district's overall financial statements, and there was what's called an opinion in there with regards to government auditing standards. There were 3. That's why, again, there was a clean opinion on the program here. We do make reference to material weakness. And again, the bottom of page 3, it has to do with the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, and it is reviewed in relationship to the overall financial statements. On page 5, this is just a copy. Scroll down a little bit.
Page 5.
This is just a copy of the same opinion that we had in the district's financial statements. Again, we have the material weakness on internal control at the top of page 6. And then the 2 compliance issues with regards to the laws and regulations having to do with the filing of the financials with regards to the 1015 deadline, and then that the undesignated fund balance was in excess of the 4% requirement by the state. And so again, those are the exact same 2 findings that we had in the other report. The next page, page 7 and 8, is the various federal dollars that you receive. And again, these are received not directly from the federal government, but passed through New York State. On the first page there, you see those dollars are passed through the New York State Education Department. The various programs that are being funded. At the bottom of that page, you can see the start of the Education Stabilization Fund, which is really related to the COVID money that you still had from the pandemic. You can see there the total of the Education Stabilization Fund was $23,222,000. Total from the U.S. Department of Education, $32.2 million. And then you got some money from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, again, passed through New York State Ed for those programs there. So the total federal dollars that you received in the current year were just over $42 million. Again, 23 of that, 23.2 of that $42 million, again, was this Education Stabilization Fund. On page 9, there's several notes that were required to put in there with regards to specifically this expenditure. And again, those are similar to notes if you were to look at the report last year. Page 10 is a summary of the findings and question costs. You can see there that we indicate that the material weakness in internal control, and then the major program tested, again, was that Education Stabilization Fund 84.425. The type A, type B threshold, which is again a requirement of the single audit guidelines, that was $1.2 million in the current year. And then, as you can see there in parts 2 and parts 3, part 2 identifies the 3 findings, And then part 3 indicates that only the one finding related to the federal awards program. And again, that's the material weakness and internal controls finding 24001. Then pages 11 and 12, again, are the same findings that we originally presented in the December audit committee meeting with regards to internal control over the accounting records and the audit adjustments that were necessary. Again, I mentioned the untimely filing that it was originally due by October 15th, and that's your overall financial statements. And then the compliance with the real property law requirement of a 4% threshold, and you were in excess of that. You were at 5.3% as opposed to the 4% limitation. So you can see there the two numbers were 18, just over $18 million, and the 4% number was $14.1 million. And then again, there's the corrective action plan on pages 13 and 14 again, similar to what was put in the other report. This single audit report has been completed. As you see, as we went through here, the opinions have been signed and dated. This is required to be filed with the federal government by March 31st. There's a document that's called an SS Epic AC that's filed with the federal government. We actually prepared that. It actually was prepared today. And then management goes in and certifies it, and then it's accepted by the federal government. So you're not going to have any issues with regards to the timely filing of this single audit document with the federal government. That's again a brief summary of the single audit results. Again, there were no new findings as a result of completing the single audit aspect. And again, we'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Yeah, I have a question. What is the date for the filing of the external audit report?
We do not prepare an internal audit report. That would be something that the Board of Education conducts with either an in-house internal auditor or an outside firm doing internal
external.
audit work.
The external.
The financial statements that we prepared, the district-wide financial statements, those are required to be filed with the state education department by October 15th. And again, that was what the second finding in the report was. Finding 2024-002 was that report was not filed by that October 15th deadline.
When did we file it?
I'm sorry?
When did we file this report?
We presented to the audit committee, I want to say it was sometime in late December, somewhere
Like the
around
23rd.
23rd. And
December
so management would have filed it sometime after that, I would believe. But we do not actually file that report with SED. That's something that management takes care of.
Thank you. That's all I have.
My questions are more.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you at 6:30 for the regular meeting.
Okay, we will see you then. Thank you.
Can I have a motion to move into executive session?
I have
I'm sorry.
questions I still want to ask the auditors. On the corrective action plan, are we confident we're going to meet June 30th? Can you turn on your mic? I can't hear you.
Which item are you specifically referring to?
You developed a correction action plan for 3 items toward the end of this audit. Questioned costs, audit findings, and continuous audit findings. And it says anticipated completion date, June 30th, 2025, and it has your name attached to it for the cap. So the question was, are we confident we'll meet the deadline?
We have been working on those items, and we are optimistic that we will meet the June 30th deadline.
Okay. And the last question is, have we filed the reports that the auditor was referring to yet?
The audited financial statements were filed.
Okay, with the state of New York? Okay. Nothing further.
Do you know when we file those reports?
After the board accepted the audit on the 23rd, they issued the final document that week, and as soon as we received it, we filed it.
All right, I have questions in executive sessions about that. Thank you. Can I have a motion to move into executive session, please?
So moved.
Second.
So moved. Aye.
It's for the employment history of a particular individual.